Okay, so today I'm joined by Kamaka III. He's coming off a big win over at Bellator 300, so I'm excited to have him on. How you doing, Kai?
Doing good. Um, yeah, thanks for having me, Jacob. I'm glad to be, I have the opportunity to talk to you.
Of course, man, I'm happy to have you here. So I just want to first off start by congratulating you on all the success you've had. You're only 28 years old. You've fought in the UFC, I believe, 4 times, right? And you're like a 7-time Bellator veteran as well. So I just want to say congrats on everything, man. You've achieved a lot at a young age, especially coming from Hawaii, a small state.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's just living my dream, and I'm really living my dream. I'm like, no, for real, like I'm living my dream. Um,
Yeah.
I cannot say anything else, and there's a lot of adversity in it. This is a tough life, but this is this is everything I dreamed of. I was a small kid in the early stages of MMA in Hawaii, and this is all I ever dreamed of doing. Like guys that were before me never even knew that this was like they couldn't even dream of this. Um, like I was legit fighting before Yancy Maderos inside it like because you talked about Yancy earlier. I was
Hmm.
legit fighting before him as a small kid, and then but he came in like in a transition where he's kind of like I mean he's a veteran of the game. I mean he is, but like I was fighting before I was fighting at like 8 years old, like fighting kickboxing and whatnot, and like just the biggest events coming to Hawaii, and now I'm like competing in the biggest events, in the biggest promotions. So I mean this is everything I ever dreamed of, and I'm always fighting. I'm always fighting,
Yeah.
like.
And if people don't know, you're like your dad owns a gym, right?
He used to.
Okay. Yeah. So growing up, you're always a fighter, and that's what you mean probably when you say you were kind of fighting before Yancey in a sense. And I think like, Max and Yancey and them, they almost kind of fell into MMA in a sense. Like I know Max was starting with kickboxing, then found MMA. Then they kind of gave the blueprint, and BJ Penn, of course, to like you younger generation of fighters like you, Nainoa, and stuff like that. So you guys are all kind of coming up right now. So is that kind of what you mean?
Um, I mean, kind of, but like me and my cousin Ray Cooper, I mean, we had like good examples, like with his dad, with my Uncle Ron, the gym, so we were always traveling to like different fights. We got to see like the biggest fights, um, and we were just younger than Max and Yancy.
Yeah.
But we were in the sport longer than them. But like we were
Right.
in the sport. Um, yeah, longer than them from yeah. So, um, we were just younger. So I mean, our time came, and then we kind of just did our thing.
Okay. Okay, so let's just kind of get into the beginning of it then so I can understand all of it. What was it like for you kind of growing up in Hawaii as a kid?
Growing up in Hawaii as a kid, shoot, we were just like in the early '90s. My uncle Ron and my uncle Ray, they were already fighting in like the biggest promotion, like one of the biggest promotions at the time, Superbrawl, an icon sport, and even Shooto, they were fighting in Japan. And so we were already exposed to it or like right when we were born. Um, and then that's what I mean. Like we were exposed to it from a very young age, and then we end up fighting. I ended up fighting at a young age too. And then football, wrestling, and like kickboxing all at the same time growing up. And then eventually I ended up wrestling in college, and then after college I just full-time MMA.
Yeah. So was it like a family affair then as far as like when you and Ray were younger? Were you guys kind of like training from when you were like maybe like 5 or like that
Yeah,
young?
yeah, we
Yeah.
were we were wrestling. We were wrestling. We were doing all the things that we needed to do to prepare us for MMA.
Okay. And do you have like I know he has siblings. Do you have siblings as well and you guys all like mesh together in a sense?
Yeah, I mean, Ray's mom and my dad is brother sister. Like that's how close we are. His
Yes.
mom is a Kamaka. Like we lived together like in high school. Yeah, we lived together in high school. So we're close as you can get. Um,
Okay.
we FaceTime every day. He's like my brother.
Yeah.
So.
And as far as like, did you guys get any in street fights and stuff like that when you were younger too, or did you kind of keep it stay out
We
of
I
that?
mean um I mean we were always like active in like sports and stuff like that. So like we've had our scuffles, but like we were just not we weren't drawn to like trouble. We were just all we were always in sports and stuff like that. So I mean, it wasn't like we were out looking for trouble to where like oh yeah I was in street fights. I was so busy playing football, wrestling. You know I wasn't trying to kickboxing to where like I was actually fighting in school. I was preparing for fights in school. It wasn't like there was trouble to be found.
Okay. You guys are probably past that generation because I know back in the day it was like, gym fights and like underground. It wasn't as like mainstream yet. So for you guys, you were able to kind of get that like sanctioned fights in and stuff like that. You didn't need to fight in the streets or in
Well,
gyms.
yeah, and it was just like we were brought like up in a good household, um, tight knit family, and we wrestled, we played football. Um, so I mean, it's not like it's not a punk mentality. You know, we're not
No,
freaking
yeah.
yeah.
Okay. And then when you were in high school, you were wrestling. So were you basically wrestling all the way up until that too, or was it more of MMA before high school and then you transitioned to wrestling?
No, I was always wrestling. I was wrestling from a young age, and
Okay.
then football, and I seen MMA from a young age. I was doing MMA as well, kickboxing, and then when I went to high school, I stopped playing football and I just wrestled, and then I went to college. But I was still doing like kickboxing fights in high school
Yeah, I noticed
and
that
boxing.
you're like amateur, right? It looks like that was like 2011 or something.
I had like I had like tw probably like 30 kickboxing fights
Oh,
and
just not
boxing.
even on the record
Yeah, it
online.
was like kickboxing fights all happen all the time in Hawaii.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
for sure. So then in high school as well, you won the state title, right? Just one
Yeah.
time, or how many times did you win that?
Once, my sophomore year, I took second, and then my junior year, I like broke my collarbone.
Oh, okay, so you took second, not first.
No, I took second my sophomore year, and um junior year I broke my collarbone, and my senior year I won.
Oh, got it. So you weren't able to compete junior, senior, you won it.
I did compete in the states, but then I broke my collarbone during the tournament.
Oh, I see. Damn. So
Yeah,
all 3 years you made it to state though. Okay, that's
yeah,
sick.
all 4 years I made it to state.
All 4 years.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you got a scholarship to Midland University in like Nebraska, which
hmm
is way different than Hawaii. So I'll ask you about that too. But what kind of scholarship was it? Full ride or what kind of scholarship did you get?
It was a wrestling scholarship. It was like a partial scholarship.
Okay. Yeah. They don't, wrestling's hard to get a full ride, right?
Yeah, and it was an NAIA school, which is kind of like they don't. I mean, you get like full tuitions, but they don't really like. It's very uncommon for NAIA students to get like full rides.
Yeah. Okay. And then so when you were there, what was it like kind of adjusting? Because you're a Hawaii boy, going to like Nebraska. It's must have been a culture shock for you a little bit at least.
It was a culture shock, um, because like the winter and stuff. But I was there to wrestle, and like I was there to wrestle, and I already went to like a school like I went to Kamehameha schools, which is like an all Hawaiian school. Which so I went there like is a private school. So you're away like I was already away from my family like every day like going to school like commute wise and so compared to the rest of my family who was going to like the public school like in the district and they got to wake up late I started school like earlier and I came home I left when it was dark and I came when it was dark so like being away from my family that wasn't too much of the issue it was just weather and stuff like that.
Okay. And how about like talking to people and stuff with your pigeon accent? Did you feel any like weird at all talking to people at first, or was that easy for you?
No, it was kind of easy just because like I knew what I was going into, and then um, the other thing was that there was teammates that I had that came from Hawaii as well.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So you
Yeah,
had a couple guys who like you're familiar with in a sense.
yeah. Like
Yeah.
one of my best friends was on the team too, and he was from the same high school as me, and he was
Okay,
older, so
for sure. And so how did you guys do in college? Or wait, by the way, is that what division is that?
it's an NAIA.
Oh, so that's not like a D1, D2 or anything like that.
It's like right below like D2 and D3. Like there's like the same level as like D3.
Okay.
But you
And how
wrestle
did
all the same. You wrestle D1 like every weekend, so it's like wrestling is wrestling in college.
Gotcha, gotcha. And how did you guys do as a team? And then how did you do individually?
As a team, as a team, we competed in our conference, but then as a individual, I dealt with like a lot of injuries in college wrestling. Just like I broke my hand one year that kind of messed up that season. Still wrestled, and then then I just dealt with like shoulder injuries, which ended up like I ended up getting two shoulder surgeries like during my pro MMA career just because of like college wrestling.
Mm, that's tough, huh? Like a shoulder surgery is not easy to come back from.
Both shoulder surgeries, I was like out for a whole year in my MMA career, or like for two different times.
Okay. All right. And then what did you get your degree in college?
I got my degree in human performance, fitness, and sports management.
Okay. And was like fighting kind of like always your plan in a sense, or did you plan on maybe using your degree at first?
No, always fighting was always a plan.
Okay. And I noticed like you were still fighting like while you're in college. Were you fighting in the summertime in a sense, or how were you fighting while you were in college?
It was well like that's when I started dealing with injuries, so like I kind of stopped wrestling as much.
Mm,
I wasn't really I my injuries kind of pushed me out of like just competing in college.
I see. So you started to turn to fighting a little bit after
hmm
that.
hmm
Okay. And so you only wrestled for a couple of years in college, not the whole four?
I graduated in 3 years.
Graduated in 3 years. Oh shit. Okay. All right. And then did you have any kids in college yet or no?
Right after I graduated college, my first daughter was born.
Okay. So your first daughter was born and you're what, like probably 21, 22 or something?
Yeah, I mean somewhere around there.
Okay. And so you're probably looking to get your career started, right? So you moved back to Hawaii and started training with like Max and Nancy and those guys, or what was
No,
like that next step after you graduated?
I mean I moved back home and then I started training with my cousin Ray.
Okay.
Um, and then yeah, that's how I just trained with my cousin. We were training together.
All right. And that was the transition from there. You guys were just going to start going for MMA after that, or at least you were.
Yeah, he was already going. I mean, he was already actively competing, and then I just needed to get home so I could just start training. The plan was to actually move to Extreme Couture right after college, but then I had my daughter. Um, yeah, I was gonna train Robert Folis, and then I had my daughter, and then so I kind of just I went home first, and then that's kind of changed the plans.
Okay, for sure. Did you always want to have like a baby young? That's like a thing in Hawaii. Everybody has like kids young. Even my mom had my brother when she was like 20.
I mean, I mean I graduated college, so I didn't see it as like yeah I did my thing in college. So, um, and I was with my wife at the time like we were together for like since freshman in high school already. So it wasn't like some quick thing. So I don't know. It's just different for me. I've been with my wife for like 15 years, and um, yeah. So we've been through like since freshman in high school. So it was like yeah. I mean, it wasn't like some high school like like some teen pregnancy thing. I was like I
Yeah, I
graduated
got you.
college, you know what I mean? So
You guys are like established and all that. And by the way, your wife is a real one. It seems like you've shown her love for kind of like just holding it down for you guys. I heard you talking about it in the press conference. Like you guys have your fifth child on the way, so congratulations on that.
thank you.
But I mean, I heard that she like holds it down for you when you go back to Hawaii and stuff and train with Ray and like lets you chase your dream. So that's got to be cool, right? To be able to have like someone who supports you throughout all that stuff and
Yeah.
understands.
Well, I mean, she she's like she been with me since we were 14 years old. I'm 28 now, so half my life. And yeah, I mean, we just have like this good relationship. This good, yeah. This our relationship is just it's different, and we've grown together. We've grown up together, and I don't know who could even be in that position. Like it's like it's so organic. So we just do what we do. We just do what we do, and grateful to have her. And she does it. Like when I'm on the road, I'm always on the road for like fights, other people's fights. Um, Jeremy's fights, Ray's fights, or just in general when I'm going to like doing stuff like on the road for like sponsorship stuff with like companies. She sometimes she gets to come, most times not, and she holds it down. She's a great mom, great wife. So
Yeah, that's dope, and it's hard to find. So congrats to you guys on that.
thank you.
Yeah. So back to just want to have a couple questions on Ray. How come he hasn't fought in like a year? I've been like thinking he's gonna get back in there, but I haven't seen him compete in about like a year, a little bit more.
I mean, I mean, you gotta. I mean, I know what he's been going through and like the transition that he's, or like what's been going down. But that's the question that I'll leave up to him. But he's transitioning in a new weight class. And that's why he's gonna fight Derek Brunson first.
Right, right. Fair enough. I'll ask him then.
Yeah.
But can I get your thoughts on Derek Brunson fight? That's exciting.
Yeah. I mean, it's exciting because Derek Brunson has a name, but I mean, I know my cousin. I know his abilities, and I mean, he's gonna flatline Derek Brunson. It's just, I mean, if you've seen Derek Brunson strike, and if you've seen like his a bit like, yeah, he's not gonna be able to take Ray down. So I mean, and if you try to strike, it's gonna be a bad night.
Yeah. What do you think separates Ray from everyone else? Because when you just look at him, you do not think that, he's as good as he is in a sense. And I think that's why like he was an underdog in a lot of those first times when he won the title. So what separates him from other fighters?
I think that's the real fighter's fighter. Like yeah, he's just that's what it means to be a fighter. Right there, like that. And like, he just doesn't get the credit because he's in the PFL. Um, he was like he's homegrown in the PFL. If he was in, I'm pretty sure if he beat a bunch of those guys in the UFC, he would get a lot more credit, because it took place in the UFC. Um, so I mean, if he beat Roy McDonald in a different platform, it would be different, you know. If he beat a bunch of those other guys in a different platform, it will be different. And
Yeah.
but it's not his fault. That's the guys that he's getting put in front of him. So yeah, that's the way I see it. It's just that's just the way the game works out. Like the platform that he's fighting at, and then the guys he has to fight. But he's skilled everywhere, and so I mean, and his mindset on everything. That's what separates him from anybody else in this world.
Mm. Um, could you just tell me like a little bit more about his mindset? Just maybe one thing or something like that that really like sticks out to you?
Um, yeah, he's not, yeah, like he fears no man. I mean, none of us do, but he fears no man. Like no op, like everything he says he's gonna do, he does. And I believe him because I've seen him do it firsthand like from a young kid to doing what he's done in MMA. Everything he said he would do, he's done, and he's never lost to the same guy twice.
Mm.
So, um, yeah, I don't know, he's a big influence on my career, my life, and a lot of my success comes directly from him, like directly from him. Just like like that's my best friend. He helped me change my like not change my career around, but like he helps me a lot with like just help me on the way I outlook on things.
Okay. That's dope. I'm hoping I can get an interview with him. I'm going to let him have his time, train for Derek Brunson, and then after he gets the job done, hopefully I can reach out to him, get an interview with him.
Hmm.
Just to wrap that part up about training with Ray after college, why did you end up transitioning down to Vegas? You said that you were planning on doing it. It was just delayed a little bit. Is it just for the better training, or was it like financially too? Because they say you
Yeah,
can get priced out of Hawaii too.
yeah. I mean, all those reasons, like priced out, pretty much just priced out. Because I would love to be
Mm,
at home. There's a lot of right resources. I can get a lot of resources at home, but I can get a lot over here too, for a lot cheaper price. And I can sustain a living for my family, for me and my wife and our 4 kids. I can sustain my own living here, and the commute to fights is a lot easier. So there's a few reasons.
Okay, gotcha. And then so were you in when you made it to the UFC? Were you in Vegas at that point, or were you still living in Hawaii?
I made uh, like a kind of a, what do you call it, like a semi permanent move to Vegas. But I mean, I say semi permanent because I moved, but like my wife, we had a child on the way at that time, so I still had to go back to Hawaii. But I was training in Vegas, and then I got the call to the UFC.
Okay.
And then
Um.
after the fight, like a month or a couple weeks later, I went back home, and then we had the fourth baby. And then we
Okay. Okay.
came back like in 2 months.
Gotcha. And so as far as like your UFC career goes, I'd like to get into that a little bit. What was like overall? What was your experience like, kind of over there?
It was a it was a good experience that like I wouldn't change as far as like, yeah, I wouldn't change because I mean I learned a lot. It made me a better man, made me a better person, better athlete after that, better person at home, you know, for my wife and my kids. So I mean it was a great experience. Just the way the UFC handles things, it's like to the T. Yeah, it was a great experience.
Okay. So you had a good experience there. I know you did have a couple rough goes though, like that split decision to TJ Brown, of course, and then I know that last fight to Chavez, like that was a weird one, right? There's like a point deduction if I remember that correctly, and then it
Yeah.
ended up in a draw, right? That was a weird one, man. But just like I guess what I'm getting to is that just a couple of things, right, could have gone like your way. You end up looking at like a 3-1 record in the UFC, and it just like two little things kind of didn't go your way, and then you ended up. I don't know if you didn't resign or if they whatever the case was
Yeah,
there, but
the contract was 4 fights, so I didn't resign. We didn't
okay.
renew. Um,
But how did you kind of handle then not renewing your contract? Just because, like I'm pointing out, it was like a couple small things, and you're young, so you know emotionally you might not have been through those kinds of things yet. So I'm just kind of curious where your mindset was like not
um,
re-signing with them.
it was rough because the whole those it wasn't like just. I mean, you talk about those last two fights, the Danny Chavez fight, obviously is a W in my mind. The TJ Brown fight, W in my mind, and then even the Jonathan Pierce fight, like I lost that fight. I got tired, but I took that fight on like 6 days notice. So I mean, it's like, and I was in the fight. You know, like I was in the fight. I was winning the fight until I lost. I'm pretty sure, like on the scorecards. I mean, I won the first round, and I got like TKO at the ending of the second. It wasn't like I was getting pounded. It was just I got tired and um he was like hitting me. I was stuck in a position. He was hitting me from the back, and it wasn't like I got like freaking beat up or anything. It was just a fight that like I wasn't prepared for. You know, that was one like I mean I skill wise I'm able to be in there, but like I wasn't prepared. Like I didn't have a camp. I just moved to Vegas
Hmm.
like 2 weeks prior. Um, so um, that fight I don't even take it as a like. I take it more of a lesson. That's like a lesson rather than a loss. Like just not rushing it. You know, like they called me. I was at the PI. They called me. Yep, taking a fight. Let's go. Like in a week, and then the TJ Brown fight, I felt like I won. Just I didn't fight. I'm a way better fighter than I am now. I would crush my own self in that fight as well as TJ Brown, but I just feel like in that fight I beat that guy. You know, like I beat that guy, and then Danny Chavez fight, like I completely beat him up, and it's just like they deducted a point off of me, like a groin shot that was only one, and it wasn't even in a groin, so it was like
Hmm.
it was weird. So it's like those are, I mean, weird experiences, but I mean, it just made me better. It made me tighten up on a lot of things that I was already doing well,
Okay.
and like just be more professional all the way around. Diet, um, weight cut process, just like fine detail, like being a more professional. That's why I don't like that that part of my life. Like it was a fun, like that was fun, but it was scary because like I didn't have a country, or like we didn't I didn't have to. I ended up there's like a couple day period, like couple, or like when I like we got notified that we weren't getting re-signed. It's just like what's next? You know what I mean? Like then signed in Bellator like the next day or so. I got like the call, and then um, I just didn't waste my time. And I just don't waste time, and I love what I do. So that's how it worked out. It worked out because I knew I wasn't gonna stop.
So like after you were released in a sense, you said that it made you better, right? And
Yeah.
maybe I'm reading between the lines, but just kind of a question that popped up in my head is like because you were doing really well in the UFC and it was just like a couple small things, even like with the shoot that one fight you mentioned where like you just kind of weren't really locked in anywhere. It seems like you moved down to Vegas like a couple weeks prior, you said. So
Yep.
was it one of those things where you're like, I'm doing really well, and if I just like really lock in, like imagine how much better I could be, or is that just what I'm saying in my head?
Yeah, that's what it was. Like,
Okay.
obviously, it didn't sound like that. It didn't feel like that, like right at that moment when I had to like get signed to Belt, or I didn't when I found out that we weren't gonna get re-signed. It just felt like yeah, what the fuck is gonna happen now? Like I ain't getting my ass beat. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
it's like do so that's where like okay, and I'm not getting my ass beat. I'm like winning these fights. It's just like tightening up a lot. Like just gotta fucking tighten up. Like that's
Right.
exactly what it was. Like just tighten up and be smart.
Right. Okay. And then so once you got into Bellator, you won your first fight, correct? And then you lost your second one.
Yeah, I beat John De Jesus and then I lost to Justin Gonzalez.
Right. And then you've gone on to win your last three. So right now you're 4-1 in Bellator. And I heard you say you called out Gallagher. You want him next?
Yeah, how about I fight James Gallagher? I mean, that's I feel like I earned the right to say who I want to fight now. I just beat Henry Corrales. You know what I mean? I beat somebody in the rankings to get in the rankings. I didn't fight like this guy out of nowhere from nowhere to jump in the rankings because my name is this and this. I fought Henry Corrales. You know what I mean? So yeah, give me James Gallagher next. He's got a name. We haven't got Connor versus Max Holloway 2 yet, so give me James Gallagher. Give me a different version of it.
I saw a report from Ariel that 301 for Bellator is confirmed, but that's probably going to be the last event. I don't know what the date is necessarily, unless you might know.
It's like
But
November 18 or something like that. It's just
what do you think?
Bellator is still gonna be around. It's just gonna be under new management.
Okay, so you'll still be fighting with the same roster of guys too.
Yeah, it's still gonna be the same management. Still gonna be around. It's just we're gonna be owned by a different company.
Okay, gotcha. So you don't need to fight at 301 necessarily to get that
No,
Gallagher fight.
no, and
Okay.
they wouldn't. They're that Gallagher fight is like so like loaded. Like the 301 is like kind of like front loaded with a bunch of the top like our top like top top level guys of Bellator that they wouldn't add us on for no reason.
Okay, gotcha. And just a couple more for you, and we'll finish this up. Um, the Bellator. Oh, that's like you said, it's like a Holloway McGregor 2 Bellator version in a sense. I would
hmm
love to see that fight, man. Just talk about him as an opponent in a way. Like, what do you see about him that you can kind of exploit?
I mean, what does he see of me that he can exploit based off of his skills? Like that's
I'm
the
just
real question.
asking you.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm well rounded. I'm good everywhere, and um, yeah, I mean, I'm well rounded. I'm good everywhere, and I keep getting better. Um, and if I don't need to exploit anything against him, I just be myself. He's the one gonna panic. So that's just the way I feel, and that's basically yeah, that's just his bottom line. I can do it. I can do it all, and uh, so I mean, just I just feel like that's a good fight for me.
Okay. Yeah, I love that fight for the record. And I guess so. Your answer is he needs to worry about exploiting you. You
Yeah,
don't
I
need to
mean,
exploit
he
him.
would have
Yeah.
to try and put. He would have to. He based off of tape, he would have to try and take me down, or I mean, how you gonna take like okay, take me down then, like go
Yeah.
sign me up. Like try
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
like I train with like I don't know, I feel like I train way better guys. I feel like I fought better guys. Or like I fought more skilled guys than what he does, but I also train with better guys on a daily better than him. So
Yeah.
I mean I train with like even in our own weight class. Like I train with Jeremy Kennedy's my main training partner. You got Maz Vernell. I mean I wrestle with like the best of the best. I spar with the best of the best. I grapple with the best of the best. So it's like if I go, I mean, I'm not, I wouldn't be. I mean, it's not that I'm not worried about James Gallagher, but like I worry day to day about like who I'm training with. Like like those are real things. I like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, he's a grappling specialist, so we'll see how that goes. I'd love to see it. I'm sure he probably feels confident himself, so
Yeah, I mean,
hopefully they can get that done.
yeah. I mean, I'd hope he feels confident because I want him to show up too. You know,
Yeah.
so
All right, and I got like a random question for you. So I was speaking with Joaquin Buckley. This is the last one I got for you, and he was telling me a story about how like you guys have the same manager, Brian Butler,
hmm
and I guess you helped corner him in his debut because
hmm
he didn't have anybody with him.
When I first got signed with the UFC, I was on my own, and that's when I fought Kevin Holland.
Right.
I didn't have no team behind me. I had somebody in my corner, but I didn't even know the guy. The guy just
Mm.
happened to be managed by the same manager of mine. His name is Kamaka. He fights in Bellator.
He's
Real
got to
cool
win.
dude. Yeah, yup. Real cool dude too. And I told Brian, I was like, bro, I ain't got no team down here, bro. I'm gonna need somebody in my corner. Can you find somebody? Kai was available. He came with me, but in my head, I'm doing this on my own, right?
Right.
Uh, for me to do my filing with my paperwork with the UFC, me doing my medicals, me cutting my weight, all that type of shit. I was by myself the whole time into the room up until the fight where I had to warm up behind closed doors,
Hmm.
and that's when I met Kai. And once I went out there and fight Kevin, I can hear his coaches saying all this type of other shit. Do he ain't ready, all that. But in my mind, I'm just like, I'm trying to change my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, he beat me that night. Cool, right? But you talking
Right.
about somebody that was already in the UFC for like 4 years, then got their feet wet. And
Hmm.
I'm coming off the backyard
Right.
training at Forest Park. You were supposed to beat me. You were supposed to beat me.
yeah. So yep. That's exactly how it
Yeah.
happened. So
What
I
was that
cornered.
like? How did he like? How'd you guys even link up, and what would you kind of make of all that?
Um, well, see, you know that, but then like
Yeah.
we fought. So the week before he made his UFC debut, we fought on the same card in LFA. Um,
Mm.
so we were like, he actually like we were in the hot tub together. We didn't know each other. We met each other there. Like me and my cousin Ray, we met him there, and then I go to Vegas because I'm moving to Vegas. My manager calls me and Brian that if I could help Joaquin Buckley, who I just fought with, and I was like, oh yeah, I can corner him. His coaches got COVID, and then so we just that's how it happened, and then I made my UFC debut the following week.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean that's that. So yeah, I mean you guys know like we ended up cornering, but we also met each other. We fought in LFA like the week prior together,
Okay.
and then we ended up being I ended up cornering him against Kevin Holland.
Okay, for sure. And
Mhm.
now he's asking for that rematch. So I don't know. A lot of people are excited about that fight. Maybe we can get like round two between them.
Yeah, I mean he's a lot more prepared for it now because I mean yeah he took that fight like 4 days notice. I mean
Yeah, had no corner, so
yeah
debut,
yeah
and it was a good fight. Like that was a fucking war. You were in the corner, so you know.
yeah. I mean
Yeah.
I mean yeah it was a good fight. It was just Joaquin got tired and just wasn't fighting smart. He was just fighting to fight. He just got into the UFC. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
it's a lot different. Like people can say what they want. It's like I mean, and I would take fights. I'm always training. That's why. But like a short notice fight is just a lot different from a fight with a camp. Like, and I'm speaking firsthand. Who I would take short notice fights all the time.
Yeah.
Like I took the Danny Chavez fight on 2 weeks notice. I took the Jonathan Pierce fight on 6 days notice. I took the Tony Kelly fight on 4 days notice. Like I'll take fight.
Damn.
It's just yeah, and that's what people don't know about the UFC. When I was in there, like all of those, that's 3 of the 4 fight was all short notice fights. So
Shit.
like there's a difference between like camp and no camp, and it's not that you cannot win. It's just there's a lot of things a lot more things go right um, and can still go wrong, but in a training camp, then that you're much more dialed in than when you take a short notice fight. I mean, you always roll a dice, even with a
Right.
camp, with not camp, but you just like you tighten up all the loose ends with a training camp.
Right. And that was actually what Joaquin said too. He's like over the short notices, but the other point he made is like financially too. That probably has a burden to some degree. So once you're able to kind of like be comfortable financially,
Yeah,
probably a little bit. better to fight. You
Exactly.
can fight better. Yeah.
Now that I got a team and I get to focus on this full time. I got money in the bank. I'm not stressing about nothing. Let's see how this fight goes now.
Yeah. No, I
You
want to
know,
see
but
it. I think it's a
and
good fight.
people want to see it, right?
Yeah.
You know,
A lot of
but
people
Kevin
still
is the
bring
only
that one
person
up.
like that. Kevin, the only person like, oh, bro, you know you don't want to fight me again. You know I'm a bad matchup. Then let's make the fight happen. Beat my ass.
Exactly. It's like, well,
Yeah.
you're training better because everything is more like everything is more quality. The quality of sessions are better. Like everything is better. Um, that's the way it's just everything is. Yeah, it's better. Everything is more scheduled. Everything is not by surprise.
Right. So with that being said, last thing then, when would you like to kind of get back in there?
I mean, 302, whenever the fuck
302?
that. Yeah. So whenever it is. Yeah, I know they're trying to make the Cyborg versus Liam McCoy in Belfast, so I'll just tag along and fight James Gallagher there if they need me to, or
Okay.
if like if they go to Hawaii, bring freaking James Gallagher to Hawaii.
Yeah.
Like or Dublin, they love Dublin. I'll fucking whoop his ass in Dublin. I've been there before.
Let's go.
So um, I feel it's not even like I'm picking on him. It's just like he's back. He's a featherweight now. It's a good matchup. He has a name. Just there's Hawaii versus Ireland. Like it's just it's a lot easier to put together. And I just called him
Yeah.
out. I just fought. I beat Henry Corrales. I just fought. Um, he obviously needs a fight. You know. So
Yeah. I think it's a great fight. I don't even know how old he is, but you guys are probably like 1 or 2 years apart. So I think
yeah,
it works out. Either come to Hawaii or go to Europe somewhere. Probably not
Yeah.
have it like anywhere else.
yeah, like
Yeah. Yeah. That'd be great
or West Coast. So
for sure.
yeah.
All right,
See
bro.
how
Well,
things go.
I appreciate the time, man. I'll let you get back to your life over there. I know you're busy.
Same
And
here,
by the
brother.
way, dude, I got like 5 or 6 interviews with all the Hawaiian guys this year. I got probably more than that, but
Who's
I
that?
appreciate you doing it. I got like you, Yancey, Nainoa. I just interviewed Asa like a couple weeks ago.
Oh, okay, okay.
Stevens. Yeah. So now you. I don't know if I already counted you, but I'm stoked on it. I got all you guys coming on. So
Nice, nice.